Hey guys, my name is Mike Munzing with Munzing Mortgage Group. Yeah, I'm fighting a little laryngitis this week, so we're gonna make this video quick. I'm gonna get a little help from a friend, but first I wanna remind you to go over to my website, www.mikemunzing.com, print up the rate sheet for the week. Rates have edged up just slightly, depending on the programs. FHAs and VAs are looking a little bit better. Conformings are looking a little bit higher, but it'll give you some idea to take with you, talk to your buyers, talk to those visiting you at the open house. My number's on the flyer as well. You can always reach me at 949-689-5626 and give me a call so we can work together with your buyers. I quickly want to remind you that propertyradar.com has this new report up. You can get that link on my email that I've sent to you. It's www.propertyradar.com. It's a good report. Mentions that though the sales are up a little bit month over month, back basically in October, year over year, the sales have dropped about 10.9%. Also on their foreclosure, this used to be the foreclosure radar. Foreclosures, as you can see on this chart here, have really leveled off at these lower numbers. We're not seeing a lot of the short sales, not seeing a lot of the foreclosures. These are the filing dates, so we're probably not going to see a lot coming down the pipe, but I want to at least make a note as to that report so you can print that up, read it, see what's going on there. This week, I got a video from a good friend of mine, Heather Goss from Northern California. She is a realtor. She's one of you guys out there selling homes, but she, like me, has gotten more politically active. She is fighting hard for private property rights, for your rights and our buyers' rights to own homes. There are amazing things going on in our government. That's why I'm fighting all the time. That's why my voice is hoarse. I've been at one meeting after another. Watch this video intensely, watch it carefully. This is true, this is happening. So once again, Heather Goss, a realtor. I'll follow up in a minute.
I assume you're familiar with this map.
I am.
The California Central Habitat Connectivity Map, which is Department of Transportation and Caltrans collaboration with transportation funds to create a wildlife corridor system throughout California. I went to the Department of Wildlife, Fish and Wildlife, and spoke to somebody in your office about this because I'm a realtor, I'm a private property owner, and I'm really outraged at the fact that we have governmental agencies that are planning what I consider the taking of private property in order to create this map. And you know, without any public input whatsoever with private property owners, there's millions of acres here of private property, and according to Department of Fish and Wildlife, this map does not distinguish between private and public land. So in order to create this wildlife corridor system, people's land, private property, is going to have to be taken in some form or fashion. And the fact that there is no public input into this process, and we're talking about habitat plans, all these things, as if there's no distinction between someone's private property and public land, is really a problem. We have cities and counties that are now using this in their land use and transportation plans and are overlaying this on top of the Bay Area, on top of urban areas, on top of people's private property, and people don't realize that they're going to be targeted. So I'd like you to speak to that.
Yeah, that corridor map is the way they developed those green blotches was that they identified.
And can you just speak? Who is they?
I'm sorry. That was developed cooperatively between Caltrans and Fish and Wildlife, and we were directed to do that through legislation. And so the methodology that they used to develop those green blotches was they took some key species, what they called indicator species, that had different characteristics in terms of motility. So some, were wide-ranging travelers, some were, kind of narrowly distributed. And then they took all of the blotches of large blotches of intact habitat, and then they ran the series of models to see how to best connect up these large blotches of habitat. Now, what you see there is what is the model output from that. And it's what that's saying is that these areas have based on the assumptions that were used in developing the model, based on the indicator species that they used in the model, that these areas here have the best potential for developing movement corridors between these large intact blocks of habitat. So there's really nothing on there that takes anything from anybody, because there's nothing regulatory about that. All that is a map that's saying, all things being equal, if you're operating in some of these green areas, think about movement. So it's really not a prioritization for acquisition. It's not a prioritization for regulation. It's a planning tool.
I totally disagree with you. When you make a plan like this, and all metropolitan planning organizations, all land use and transportation authorities are required to use this in their transportation and planning, land use planning, conservation planning, and in fact, when they're creating the HCPs and the NCCPs, and they're using this map as an overlay, and the local jurisdictions are adopting this as their plan, this is a giant takings map. And the American public and the people from California need to know that their land, their private property is being targeted. There's no distinction in this map between public and private land. If you want to conserve land in California and public areas, go for it. But when you start targeting and using a map like this and then claiming there's no regulation behind it, it's simply a map and we shouldn't be afraid of it. Well, if it's just a map and we shouldn't be afraid of it, then it shouldn't be used and required by all of our transportation and land use planning departments. If people have land in any of these red, yellow, or green areas, I would be very concerned about your private property rights.
Let me ask this.
Just for clarification, nobody's required to follow that map, and entities that choose to follow it do it because it's good science.
Let me just clarify one thing though. Is there any effect of this on the swap?
No, that's a completely different thing.
It's all part of the habitat plan. It's all part of the same plan to rewild 50% of California through this plan and create this corridor mapping system. It's all sub-programs within this.
Can I make a recommendation? Please submit a comment that says that you do not
I think I just did.
No. Remember, I told you that we are not.
I will submit a comment.
Excellent.
I just want to make sure that people understand that this map exists, it's being used, and they are using it in the transportation and planning departments. All the regional planning departments are using it. The cities are using it. So you can't just say it's a map and there's no regulatory, legislation behind it or forcing people to do this. If you're giving someone a map and saying use this in your transportation and land use planning, then you're basically saying this is the map we want to create. Ultimately, this is the goal. Thank you.
Yes, these meetings are sometimes eye-bleedingly boring, but if we're not in there fighting, aggressively going after those in Sacramento, these are bureaucrats doing this to us. The legislature passes bills like AB 32 and SB 375, and then the bureaucrats jump in. You've got the California Air Resources Bureau, you've got Southern California Air Quality Management District, you've got California or Cal EPA. All these environmental groups are coming in and absolutely taking over the bureaucracies, and they are ramming this kind of stuff down our throats. These maps really are in the meetings that I'm at. You'll see these. They are what the agencies are using to push their agendas forward, and it's only going to hurt our homeowners. It's going to really hurt our future, the future of California. So please try to be aware. You don't have to be involved like I am, but if you want to know what's going on, if you want to get involved, I'd love to help you with that too. But other than that, let's work with our buyers. That's why we're all here. That's why I'm in the fight, to help you and I and our clients who want to own property in California. That's what makes this country special. Private property ownership, freedom and liberty, and being able to do what we want to do and be great responsible stewards of our state, but to be free while we do it. once again, call me anytime. I'm here for you. Have a great weekend. And I look forward to working with you and your buyers. Thanks so much. Bye-bye.
Money, 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 money.